Look at these. Oh, yes. So it's a little bit different for this episode. I think this might be the first time in this series that I've done strictly nonfiction books. All three of the books that I picked out were nonfiction books. Um, yeah, very, very intrigued by these three titles that I saw. First of all, it's we are here. Welcome to your life. Love, Death, Tears for Fears by Roland Orzabal, who was one of the members of Tears for Fears. Um, I'll be honest with you, I was kind of going back and forth between this book and another book. Um, but something about this just kind of stood out to me. It's like a book about one of the guys from Tears for Fears. That's interesting. Like you could read all the musical biographies you want, but it just seems like you'd never really heard this guy's story until now. So I kind of bit the bullet and picked this up. Um, I have been warned by a few people that it kind of gets a little bit into astrology and things of that nature, and this guy Roland Orzabal is really into it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it might not be my cup of tea if that's what I want to read about. If I just want to read purely about his life, this might not be possibly the best book from what I've been told. But I'm very much willing to give it a shot. So that was the first book. Next, this book here by Kimberly Potts. It's almost always sunny in Philadelphia, which is basically the history of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which I think is probably one of my favorite, if not at least in the top five, comedy shows of all time. So it's very interesting, and I believe this particular author also wrote a book about the history of Seinfeld, possibly. I'm actually not sure. I'll have to verify that, but this definitely caught my attention. And I will say, disclosure, I pulled it off the shelf to look at, and I couldn't quite fit it back in. It was a little bit of a tight fit, so I had to put it down on the one of the tables in Barnes and Noble to film myself picking it up. So yeah, that happened. But we're gonna put that over there. And finally, we have Lazarus, which is the second coming of David Bowie. Now, apparently, this is about the last 30 or so years of David Bowie's life and career. And according to this book by Alexander Larman, not much was written about the last kind of 30-ish years of his career. And this book, when did this come out? Let's see. This was actually, came out in February of this year. So this is a fairly recent book. So I love David Bowie. I think he lived an extraordinary life, had an amazing career, a very talented musician. So anytime I see a book about David Bowie, especially like his career from the 80s till he sadly passed away, I definitely want to scoop it up. I mean, I've seen so many books dealing with, his Ziggy Stardust era not really venturing into the 80s and 90s and 2000s. So this was something where it's like I'm going to be making a big mistake if I don't pick this up. This was actually an episode or two back. I had saw this in Barnes and Noble and I was going to pick it up, but then I was like, nah, maybe I'll pick it up another time. And it's funny that I wound up picking it up for this episode because this means that for this particular treaty, it's three nonfiction books, essentially three biographies, one about a television show. But yeah, it's quite an interesting, eclectic lineup, and I'm looking forward to reading it, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So, come on, y'all, commence the reading! All right, welcome back. Did some reading, and now I'm ready to assess the situation. Starting with this one. I'm very disappointed. I really wanted to like this, but Roland, as you seem like a very nice guy. Tears for Fears was a good band, but your writing is just it's a little all over the place. You tend to ramble a little bit, and while you did say that you can skip over the astrology parts of this book, it was very hard to do that because you would just be in the middle of talking about, say, songs from the Big Chair or, you know, Tears for Fears going on tour, and then you would start talking about astrology, and it just kind of killed the momentum of the book. So, yeah, it is with great disappointment and reluctance that I have to put this in the pass pile. Sorry to say, I just was not. This was not holding my interest at all. It's a shame, but what can you do? Now, on the other hand, this held my interest a lot. It might be maybe because I'm a little biased because I really like David Bowie, but this book, much like the biography from the Cars that I read, I found myself getting lost in this book and just being like, oh, I read much more than 20 pages of it. Yeah. Talking about the last 20 to 30 so years of his career, it was a very good read. I highly recommend this for anybody who is a Bowie fan who wants to read about the later aspects of his life. So this was absolutely spectacular. Yes. So this, I gotta be honest with you, at first I was like, I don't know about this. But as I worked my way through it, I really was starting to enjoy this. I have to be honest, I was kind of sort of on the fence. I was like, do I want to keep going with it? Do I want to stop? And I was very tempted to just, for the first time, put this in kind of a holding pattern of to be determined. But as I got a little bit further in, I very slowly started moving towards the recommended area. It got through by the skin of its teeth, but I still enjoyed it, and I'm going to keep going with this. It was a very, if you're a fan of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, you're going to like this. If you're not that big of a fan, I'm not really sure if you would be interested in it. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, so who knows? Maybe you might like it, maybe you don't. But this was definitely a. At first, it was just like, I don't know. But by the end, it saved itself. So definitely putting that in the pile to continue. So, yep, one pass, two keep going. That's the way it is. So that was my first foray into a completely non-fiction group of books. It could happen again. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see. But until next time, thank you guys for watching.